Hello everybody. So here it is, what I've been waiting to show you guys for some time now. This is the chronology. So what I'm doing here, as you can see, from Exodus chapter 3 to Numbers 12, I was saying Leviticus chapter 27, but it's actually Numbers chapter 12. We see this is Yeshua's earthly ministry of 1 year. And the reason I put this in a box is because he had a ministry of 1 year. Not of 3, 1. He lived to be 31 years old, and he was about 30 years of age when before he was baptized. 1 year. Exodus 12:5, a male of the first year. Okay, to Numbers chapter 12. We go, Exodus chapter 4 is when we see that Moses is questioning God about what he is going to do, and he is saying that he has shown himself to the forefathers and that he is the Almighty Yahweh. In Exodus chapter 5 to chapter 12, we see John the Baptist, Aaron, the high priest, Elizabeth of the daughters of Aaron, and Yeshua the prophet, like Moses, giving signs to the children of Israel to take them out of their hard bondage or their sins, the house of bondage, Egypt, or earthly corrupt body. And the start of his ministry after these signs that he does. But see, here's the thing. It's interesting because the reason why these things are in the order that they are is not particularly in remember, time is continuing, and though Yeshua is baptized in the first month by John the Baptist, it's also the first month where he is killed, but it's 1 year later. So all of these kind of will repeat themselves from the blowing of the horn of the first day of the first month, which is Abib, to the 14th of Nisan, or Abib, of the following year, when this death, burial, resurrection, the Passover actually takes place. But the first, I'm sure you guys understand what I'm getting at. Anyway, so Exodus chapter 12, we see the Passover. Exodus chapter 13 is the death. Chapter 14 is the burial. Chapter 15 is the resurrection. Shows baptism by John after the tabernacle was set up on the first day of the first month. And the glory of the Almighty filled this. This was also the baptism was the same thing as the Passover. It's death, burial, resurrection, which is the baptism, which is the rebirth. So we have Exodus chapter 16, the bread from heaven, the manna, and Matthew 4. 17, Israel chides with Moses, tempted Yahweh. Matthew 4, 5 through 7. The first is 3 and 4, 5 through 7. And then at that time they're fighting Amalek, which is the sinful flesh. Joshua defeated Amalek, which is Joshua is also Yeshua. And this is Yeshua defeating Satan in Matthew 4, chapter 4, verses 8 through 10. And I'm going to get to 18 in another video, because this is pretty interesting about Jethro and who he represents. Chapter 19, Israel encompassed at Sinai. This is Matthew chapter 5 through 7. Exodus 19 through Numbers 12. This encompasses this entire timeline, the giving of the law and everything else. From Numbers 12 to Joshua 1, this is the 40 years after Christ's ascension into heaven. Yeshua is showing himself for 40 days after his resurrection. After ascension, the 40 years to Jerusalem's destruction and burning of the temple starts. So remember, in Acts, he's talking about how he showed himself for 40 days, and then not many days hence, it says, that the Spirit will fall upon them, and that was Pentecost, which was the fulfilling of the Torah, the Ten Commandments. So we have so Numbers chapter 12 through Joshua chapter 1. Numbers chapter 12 actually starts the 40 years. So the 40 years starts after he ascends into heaven, which is Acts chapter 1. And we see clearly that in Acts chapter 1, after he ascends into heaven, then everything for the apostles starts. And we know that without a shadow of a doubt that chapter 2, actually everything for the apostles starts in Acts, and we see that Peter, John,